is 6 p.m. We'll call the Monticello School District number 882 meeting to order on September 19th, 2022. Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Clay, can we, before we approve the agenda here, can we make one adjustment to it? Just note that when we get to policy, second reading, removing policy 16, we're taking it off for further discussion. It'll be brought forth at future meeting. So
That was policy 630.
motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made by Melissa, seconded by Kathy for approval of the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. There's no request for citizens' comments, so we'll move to our student representatives, and Samantha Richardson is here tonight to introduce herself, and welcome.
Well, I am half of the dynamic duo, me and Brady. And I'm just going to talk about some things that are going on in our school and also during like activities and some other things. But first, I kind of want to highlight Brady just since he's not here. Brady's a hockey player, and he also is on our golf team at Monticello. He loves hanging out with his family and also with his friends as well. And then myself, I am involved in student council. I'm actually our Eastern Division Student Council president, so I'm in charge of Buffalo, Maple Lake, Andover. And then this year is my first year at cross country. Also the captain of the track and field team. And then I also took on the role of bleacher captain, thanks to Rev. It's been super fun. I've gotten to go to all the volleyball games, all the football games. I kind of get to lead chants and direct students what we're doing and kind of run the, like what we're going to wear that night. So if it's white out or black out, I'm kind of in charge of that. So and then today I'm just going to go over a few things. First, talking about students. So this year, the first couple weeks have been interesting to see. The freshmen are kind of adjusting still kind of from the middle school with that COVID year and going through all of that and adjusting with always being able to be on their phones and always kind of being able to be on their Chromebooks. And a cool opportunity that I got and a few other students at the high school, we got to actually speak to the freshmen. One thing that I got to highlight was the phone usage during that time. And I kind of mentioned how I turn off my phone 30 minutes before I go to sleep. And the students in the crowd were kind of like, what? Why are you doing that? Like, are you not on it 24/7? And so it was actually kind of cool to see because later, a couple days later, I had quite a few freshmen actually come up to me and be like, hey, I kind of understand that like phone usage, maybe I should dial it back. And I actually started turning off my phone 30 minutes before I go to bed. So I thought that was really interesting and cool to kind of see that they took what I said as a student and a senior in the building, and they held that as a cool responsibility that I have. Another thing that I want to talk about today is homecoming, and we actually have another slide for that. And I'll just kind of go over the days and what we're going to see. This will start next week on Monday, and then it'll last till Saturday with our dance. So the first day, Monday, it's pajama day at the high school, so everybody just kind of gets to get up and go. And then also we do have coordination that day with our student body. So we do have a homecoming court, 5 girls and 5 boys, and the royalty will be crowned at 9 a.m. And then moving on to Tuesday, we have our Ironman volleyball, which is always a fun experience to have in the school. We've done it a few other years. I think we did it last year, but it was during outside of school, so it was like 7 p.m. at night. But we get to do this during our flex time that got approved for this school year, which we're pretty excited about. We're going to have 8 teams, 2 from each grade level, and we're really excited. Also, get to wear your favorite jersey. And then Wednesday is my favorite dress-up day because I came up with it. It's Country versus Country Club. There's not really any events going on, but I'm very excited to see all of the dressing up going on in our school. And then Thursday is the final day of Ironman because I think there's only 4 teams that get to advance. That'll also, again, be in the field house during that flex time that got approved. And we'll also have all the royalty there, and then fall captains. They'll also get to talk to other schools during this time. So I'm really excited for that because I'll be able to kind of go talk to the middle schoolers and the elementary school. And same with a few of my other friends. We'll all get to kind of go show us who they are and, have a lot of fun with that. And then also the dress-up day is Game of Home. So we have all of the different grade levels get to dress up. Super excited about that. Purple, orange, pink, and green. So yeah, that's Thursday. And then Friday is a big football day, which is my favorite thing because Mr. Olson was saying that he got to see me kind of yell out chants and have fun with it. The energy is always high, and it's a very positive experience, especially this year. There's a good group of kids that come and support the sporting events that go on. We make it a lot of fun, and there hasn't been any incidences where, we kind of need to tell them to settle down because they're all very respectful with that. And it's at 7 p.m. It'll be at the Memorial Stadium, and we're making the theme red out. So we're very excited for that. We'll also have a teddy bear toss. And, of course, everybody will be dressing in their red, white, and black. And then Saturday, also on Friday, I don't know if you saw that, but we're bringing the hot dog challenge back, which we are very excited about because Pinewood versus Little Mountain has always kind of been a thing that we talk about, and it's who gets to sell more hot dogs. Personally, Pinewood has always won, but I'm a little biased because I went to Pinewood, but they always told us we won, so I think we did. But anyways, I'm super excited about that. Just had to kind of slip that in there. And then Saturday is our actual homecoming dance. That'll be on Main Street, 7:30 to 11. And we're going to have Bluestone. We had this last year. It was a lot of fun. People enjoyed it, and it's just kind of a little chill time before we get into the full dance, semi-formal. And we're really excited about this year. Hopefully we'll have a really good homecoming turnout because last year we actually had the most kids we've ever had show up to our dance, and hopefully we'll increase the numbers this year. So that's an exciting thing to look forward to, homecoming next week. Is there any questions that you guys have? It's kind of a lot, but I'm excited, so.
Welcome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So professional. Wow, that's exciting. I just feel like you could get me to run through them all right now. So
Thank you.
Good job.
And Samantha, we know you're very busy, so if you don't get to enjoy the rest of the school board meeting, we understand. So, Okay, we will move on to our consent agenda. I was sent out to you previously. This is an action item. Is there any questions, concerns about consent agenda?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made by Melissa to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Kathy. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Or all those opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. We'll move on to collaborative connections. And Superintendent Olson will lead some wonderful donations that we have.
yeah, the first one is a donation from fellow Lions. Remember last year they came and did a short presentation of the reading support that they're giving our school district support. We are to the last couple of years of developing our skill set with the science of literacy and making sure that we take that approach to educating all of our elementary teachers. And now we've started transitioning up to our middle school, and then we'll get to the high school as well. But that's where we started, and without this money, we would not have been able to, the last 2 years, we would not have been able to do some of the professional development with our teachers that we're doing right now. So it's a great support system that we have. And this actually came earlier, and somehow because they knew how to get this money to us and that they believe in it so much, we've had presenters from our literacy specialist and Cindy Foshing go to the Lions, and Mr. Dockendorf was part of that as well. And so we've been partnering with them for over a year. That some of it got all the way into our account in July, and so we really want to get this back in front and make sure that what a contributor they've been. And I do want to make sure I get out of here at some Monday. Our meeting's aligned, but I'd like to go to the Lions and go thank them personally because it's just such a partnership. Along the same lines, that's kind of the academic piece, and Jim and Carleen Jansen are helping that social-emotional piece for our students, but they're giving $500 to the Magic Closet, and the Magic Closet goes for students who have different needs, whether they're, needs like, toothpaste and deodorant, some of the essential items for kids, or support systems for transportation, or many different needs that kids have throughout their pre-K through grade 13 experience here. So academic and meeting kids where they're at are these two donations, and I want to thank the community for their great support of our kids.
This is a resolution.
Therefore, be it resolved by the Monticello School Board, number 882, to gratefully accept the following donations. From the Monticello Lions, $8,000 for the reading programs, and from Jim and Carleen Jansen, $500 for Magic Closet.
Second.
A resolution read by Jennifer with the acceptance of gifts from the Monticello Lions for $8,000 and Jim Carleen Jansen for $500. Seconded by Melissa. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. We move on to leadership introductions. Superintendent Olson.
Yeah, so we've been trying to get our leaders in front of our board and just introduce themselves. And today we have 3 more to bring to you, but only one being present. So Amy, if you'd come up and just do just a quick introduction of yourself, and while you're coming up to the podium, I'd like to introduce Matt Eller, who's our new ALP Dean of Students, and Rachel Casper, who is our special education coordinator for Monticello. So we have coordinators both from the co-op and one from Monticello, and Rachel is the special education coordinator for Monticello Special Education Services. But today we are fortunate to have Amy Herfindahl here to just introduce herself and what she's been doing in education, and thank you for being part of our administration.
Thank you. I'm Amy Herfindahl. I spent the last 3 years at the middle school as the choir director, and previous to that, I was in the Elk River School District for about 9 years. Actually, so I'm so sorry, 11 years up in Zimmerman. I spent a bunch of time up in Zimmerman, and I'm originally from Duluth, Minnesota, and went to UMD, and went with my husband out to DC when he went and started singing professionally, and came back after a year and said, I don't want to be away from Minnesota again. That's enough. And came back, and I was thrilled to be able to be back and thrilled to be able to really start my teaching career here. For the last year, I had the opportunity to work with Mr. Scherber and Mr. Olson as I was finishing my admin licensures for my field experience time. And so I had the great opportunity to spend a good amount of time watching how things work and observing how things work and kind of digging my fingers into things. Always things that I should always have my nose in, right? And so I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here and the opportunity to work with Jeff and Rachel. And I know Rachel and I were talking about this just yesterday, how we're still continuing to roll out some of the programming that we've created for our building. And we are so excited and so proud as we see the kids in the building now, because they're starting to show some of the things that we've been working on for the past 2 weeks. And it's fun to see them grow and fun to see and imagine where they're going to be. So we're looking forward to doing more with them. So thanks.
We have a welcome.
Heavens. You didn't have to do that. I've been around for a while. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to leave. Hi.
Welcome to your new position, Amy.
Thank you.
Sure, we'll keep you very busy. Next, Gary and Amy talked about middle school and high school activity update.
A knock on wood, after Sam said there's been no issues in the student section so far, so hopefully that continues. Obviously, she's an impressive student at Monticello High School, and she mentioned bleacher captains, and just to kind of fill you in, the high school league, the principals association, superintendents association, we've all kind of partnered, directors association, on trying to help manage the culture at our sporting events. There's all kinds of issues with conduct, officials, and you name it, and we're just kind of all partnering. And one of the things we've done as a conference is we've started a couple years ago, actually, but now everyone is doing it. We're doing bleacher captains. So we find senior leaders or upperclassmen that want to be in the front row, and they're kind of the AD's go-to if there's any issues in the student section, and it is going really well. Students like Sam, leading the way. They're at the events, and, right away, our first volleyball game, some of the other schools in the conference have had a few more issues with students coming toward the court and almost interfering in the volleyball match. So we decided we're having everyone in the first row, and it was kind of new for our students, but our bleachers captain said, come on. Mr. Rebnick said, you're moving up a row, and they all did, and they slid back, and it was so cool, and we're off to a great start, so hopefully that continues. I wanted to give you a quick update on all of our activities. I'm going to start with adaptive soccer, and the reason I'm starting with that is just got going last week, and it's one of our newer programs, and we partner with St. Michael. We co-op with St. Michael and Buffalo. But in the fall, Monticello, we host the adaptive soccer, so we cover the expenses, and then in the winter, STMA does floor hockey, and in the spring, Buffalo does adaptive softball. So we all take a season, and a quick update, we have two new coaches, Mary Libesmeyer, who is an adaptive PE teacher at Pinewood. She's our head coach, and Angela Ziebel is the assistant coach. They've agreed to do it together. We typically only have one coach, but they're splitting the salary, and they're doing it together, and they're off to a great start. So they've had 2 practices so far. I stopped in at the first one, and things are going well. There's 14 total players on the team. This is the first time we've had 9 from Monticello, so we have most of the athletes are from our school district. They're seeing a lot of smiles, hard work at practices, learning skills of the game, and enjoying their time with their teammates. It's a great partnership between the 3 schools. All 3 coaches, or 4, counting Angela, are all new this year, so it's complete turnover. They've had to work closely with the SPED case managers. Education support specialists have been vital for coverage after school and to aid in communication to families. Their dedication and connection to these athletes for the adaptive soccer program is incredible. Parent involvement at the first 2 practices has been outstanding. The passion is evident in their presence, assisting in the program, and the enthusiasm in celebrating the process along with their success. While blending 3 schools together for one activity can be a challenge, the combination of all these people working together in their different roles are being filled and made this quick beginning of the school year a recipe for success, enjoyment, and great memories. So that was from Coach Libesmeyer, and like I said, off to a great start. Their first game is tomorrow. They travel to White Bear Lake. So we will pick up in Buffalo, come back to Monty, head to St. Michael, then head to White Bear Lake. So it'll be their first game. Volleyball, I'll just go through everything real quick now, and then you guys can ask questions at the end if you have any. Volleyball, we have 52 players. We're a 9 through 12 program. We have 5 levels, 9A, 9B, B squad, JV, and varsity. Varsity is currently 7-3, and we're 3-0 in the conference. Our head coach, Beth Modav, says our teams at all levels have had some success this season already, and even when we do not come out with a win, we've been competitive in our matches. They continue to see growth in all the players. They're excited to see what the rest of the season holds for our program. Last year, again, was our first trip to the state tournament. We're hoping to get back again this year. Girls swimming and diving, there's 58 girls on the team. We're a 7 through 12 program. We're undefeated on the season. They're 4-0 so far in dual meets. They won the Spring Lake Invite by over almost 200 points. They won by 188 points, which is a lot in swimming. We have an 8th grader, Adeline Biegler, who has set 3 pool records already, I believe, in the 50s. So she's extremely fast, and she's only in 8th grade. We took on Cathedral, who won the section last year. We defeated them in a duel last week. So we have a talented group again in swimming, looking to make some noise here this fall with the high school state tournament. Girls tennis is a 7-12 this year for the first time. We have 52 players that are out. The varsity is 9-9. We're currently 3-1 in the Mississippi 8 Conference, and we're in a position for the first time since 2013 to contend for the conference championship. Getting the girls plenty of playing experience by using both the high school courts and the middle school courts for matches. And she says so far the highlight this season was beating Cambridge 4-3. I'm going to throw pep band in there real quick. Bought jerseys for the pep band, 80 jerseys. They were all set and excited to wear them on Friday night with 90% chance of rain. We canceled the pep band, and then, of course, the sun came out and it didn't rain, which was great, but the pep band wasn't there. They did play at a volleyball game already. They stayed for the whole thing, and they had almost 60 students there. So we're trying to build the program back up. So we put incentives in place, and like I said, I bought them jerseys so they all look unified when they go there. Their baseball jersey, it says Monty. So super cool. We're trying to get that built back up. When COVID hit and they couldn't attend events, it just kind of fell off, and everyone's busy, and we're trying to build that back up. Girls cross country, it's a 7-12 program. We have 48 girls out. We're ranked in the top 10 in the state. We placed very high in our first 3 meets. We have had many personal best times and classy, cohesive team. Looking forward to see what they do in sections and at the state tournament. Boys cross country is 7-12 as well. 28 boys out. We're also ranked in state there, having another strong season. Took second last year to Big Lake, not only at sections and 2 teams advanced, so we advanced to state, but also at state we took second to them. Big Lake is currently ranked number 1, and we're ranked in the top 10 as well. 22 teams competed in Little Falls last week. Our JV took first place, so that was pretty cool, and I think boys got third at the varsity level. Football, first time we're trying 8 through 12. Most kids we've had this is my 13th year. Most players we've had out for football, 143. And I like it. The coaching staff likes it. A little bit of concern at the 9th grade level that we have so many kids, but the teams we play appreciate it because in years past, Monticello, we've had a 9A. We haven't always been able to play a 9B game. Now we're playing a full 9A. We're playing a full 9B. And I've added some extra games for some of the other 9B players to make sure they're getting enough playing time. So we're learning as we go, but so far I think overall it's been a positive experience. Our varsity teams 1 and 2, big win over Rogers was our 1 win, and we've only beat Rogers. I had no idea we got the hammer. I didn't even know we were playing for a hammer, so I saw it, and we're 3-14 against Rogers. I'm embarrassed to say that. But when they first started as a school, we didn't play them. And then they got big and really good in football. We started playing them, and it's been tough playing Rogers. But it was a nice win at Rogers, 6-2. And, hopefully we'll bounce back this week at Tech. Update on fine arts, not a lot happening right now. Musical is going to take place after 1 act this year. Sometimes we do it in the fall. This year it'll be in the spring. Our musical is March 10th through the 12th. Student council, Sam mentioned that a little bit when she was up here, extremely busy with homecoming week coming up. Our advisors are doing a great job, Brooke Sawicki and Courtney Roach with student council. And most of our clubs in fine arts are just now starting to get going. Interact is going to have their first meeting this week. That's a high school update as fast as I could talk. I'm wearing purple for a reason tonight. Go Vikes. And Amy, you're up.
Mine's fast. We have middle school volleyball, 7th and 8th grade girls volleyball. We currently have 26 girls out for 7th grade volleyball and 27 out for 8th grade. We had 3 who were promoted up to the high school level. We have their first game on Thursday. They're very excited. Pictures were last weekend, and you could see them getting ready for quite some time. It was very exciting. All of our clubs, we are working on trying to ensure that everybody is set up and ready to go. I believe that jazz band will be starting early to mid-October, as will yearbook. And then probably about mid-October, we'll be starting Knowledge Bowl. We're just finalizing a couple of our advisors for that as well.
Thank you.
Sorry. I know that.
Yeah. I also want to go on record to say Amy mentioned her husband did sing professionally for a year. I wasn't sure if that was true, so thanks for clarifying that tonight. So he's our high school choir director and a personal friend of mine. So,
Gary,
any
just-
questions on activities?
Just one quick thing on activities that I think should be highlighted. While you could hear the numbers, that you were presenting in so many 7 or 8, 12 programs, obviously Amy presenting a shorter list than what we normally have. But I also like to highlight the unification that we're trying to do with youth sports, because I think that's very important. We've already had 2 big meetings with every youth sport present, both Jeremiah and Gary and myself have been meeting with them to try to do some unification types of things and really make the community cohesive in how we attack providing as many opportunities for kids that we can, so.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And not having middle school sports this year has posed some problems. I mean, busing has been an issue at times, having to round up extra buses to head to certain competitions because of all the kids that are traveling now. So we've had some extra expenses with that as well. But yeah, I mean, obviously it'd be great to get middle school sports back, but we're doing the best we can right now to make things work and provide opportunities for our students in 7 through 12. Any questions on any of the information? Okay, I have one other thing to bring. We talked about this in the spring. I believe we need board approval just to go over, and Clay's going to put it up, or Gavin right now. The 22-23 fees for activities. This year, the high school fee is $215. Last year it was $185. That's for a high school sport. High school fine arts went from $120 to $150. The family cap was $800. It's now $900. Punch cards, the same punch card, it's 16 punches. It was $60, now it's $70 that they can use to get into our home events. Middle school sports previously was $120, it's $150 this year. Middle school fine arts went from $60 to $75, and then clubs were $25, they are now $40. So looking for board approval on that. Just kind of summed everything up, and that's just a document so that we all have it when questions come up.
Questions for Gary?
I make a motion to approve the adjusted fee adjustment for the sports.
Second.
Motion made by Melissa, seconded by Jennifer to approve the fee adjustment as presented by Gary Rednick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
A motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Tina, preliminary levy report.
All right, tonight we have our preliminary tax levy for payable 2023. So the first slide just has an overall summary of our property tax levy. It is increasing by $810,000 or 6.57%. We are different from cities and counties where a lot of our levy is determined on formulas outside of any voter-approved referendum, so a lot of it's kind of out of our hands. The next slide will dive deeper in, or the next couple slides will dive deeper into the tax levies. The first one is our general fund levy. That increased almost 1.7 million or 19.5%. Some of the big increases in the general fund levy include the voter-approved referendum. That increased with a higher student count, but it also increased with higher inflation rates. Previously, MDE, or the Minnesota Department of Education, used 2% and 2% for inflation rates for school year FY23 and fiscal year 24. They adjusted those to a 5% and 7% respectively. So that is a big change going into our property tax levy. Also, with the local optional revenue, that increased with a higher student count. Our other post-employment levy increased with additional retirees. And then our long-term facility maintenance levy increased, but there's a similar, or not a similar, another offset decrease with that in our debt service, long-term facility maintenance, what I'll talk about later. Any questions on the general fund levy. Okay, the next slide has our community service fund levy that had a small increase, basically with our child care adjustment from the previous year. The debt service levy has a decrease that will help offset our general ed levy. It has to do with the debt excess calculation. So last year, or my last year, 2020-21, we made a transfer to return leftover bond proceeds that we didn't use for Pinewood project. So that was a return of funds back to the taxpayer. So that levy is being recognized in the payable 2023. So that's where they're seeing that adjustment of us giving that unspent back. So overall, those are the big changes in our levy. 6.5% probably seems high, but the next couple of slides, that's not really normal for us with our calculations, even though a lot of it's out of our hands. Our 14-year average is about 1.5%, and now our 15-year average is almost 2%. So a lot of small changes that we've had over the years, but this one just happens to be one that's larger than our history. And also the 6.5% doesn't mean that you will see a 6.5% on your school property taxes. A lot of other things are into that calculation with property values and tax rates, so a person might not see a 6.5%, depending on how their home values were changing. We'll do a truth and taxation hearing on December 5th and go more into depth on the property tax levy. But tonight, just asking for your approval to approve the proposed levy to the max. The state still is working out a few bugs, but for the most part, you won't see a lot of changes going into the truth and taxation amounts. It'll probably be closer to this amount. So we just say to levy to the max so that we catch all those bugs or errors that are happening at the Department of Ed.
And just to be clear that people understand that we didn't sit down as a board and say 6.5% sounds like a good number for us this year.
Correct.
This is not anything that we have control over.
No, it's almost a 40-page document of calculations that the state does to come up with all the different amounts in the property tax levy.
Any questions? Not, then we would need this is an action item.
I move to approve the preliminary levy report and agree to levy to the max.
Second.
Motion made by Jennifer to accept the preliminary levy report as presented by Tina. Second by Candace. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Play strategic priorities video. We've been working hard on.
Good evening. As the board is well aware, we have begun to roll out our updated strategic plan, which is an extensive document that we've also tried to dial back in a few ways. But one of the things that we wanted to do, especially at the start of the year when we rolled this out to staff, was to create a video to go with it to try to make the content a little more digestible, but also to kind of connect it to the heart and show what the real meaning behind the plan was, not just the details behind it. So before we watch the video, I'll just note that we want to make another video as we move forward here that's more geared for families. This one was definitely oriented towards staff. You'll see a lot of administration in the video, and it was created for Welcome Back Week, and really trying to get that buy-in from staff. Once we've had students and families, we feel like have a chance to kind of buy in themselves and live this out a little bit. We certainly want to get more of their faces featured and redo this video to make it a little more public facing down the road. But we're really excited about how this one turned out for staff. And I want to give Gavin a shout out. He certainly took a vision that Eric and I had and turned it into a really nice looking reality. He did a great job, and he's a really great asset for us to have on these types of projects. So yeah, that's all we can take a look. And if you guys have any questions after, I'm happy to answer. This is Monticello Public Schools, Independent School District 882, located in Monticello, Minnesota, which is home to 13,700 residents and nestled along the mighty Mississippi River just off Interstate 94. The Monticello School District was founded in 1882 and serves over 4,000 students each school year. The Monticello School District's motto is "Every Kid, Every Day." Using the strategic priorities of teaching and learning, collaborative connections, innovation and leadership, and safe and healthy culture, Monticello School District is committed to producing resilient learners, critical thinkers, effective communicators, and persons of integrity. However, we know mottos and visions may exist on paper, but if they are to truly live, it must be in the hearts and minds of those that lead, teach, and learn every day in Monticello Public Schools.
What it means to me is that we provide the best opportunity for every student that we have in our district, through every means that we have possible, through either financial or personnel, and we try to make that educational experience the best we can for every child.
I find the motto, "Every Kid, Every Day," very empowering. And it's a motto in words, but it also is something that I have seen come into play in my 20 years in this district. When I'm thinking about my coworkers, I'm thinking about all the staff, K-12, that I've come into contact in all of those time periods. I am surrounded by people that have the student's best interest.
Every kid belongs. Every student feels that they have a place or a person or a piece of who we are as Monticello Public Schools. So they have a connection to someone or something that believes in them, again, to really lay out a strong foundation and build that relationship to open doors of opportunities and learning.
The vision of the learner is the way for us to truly define every kid every day. While every kid every day is an amazing motto, you also want to have some clear attributes so that when our students graduate, we know exactly what we've put into them.
We took kind of the important pieces to our schools and community to help students be most successful in their futures and also great students while they're here in Monticello.
I think for me, vision of a learner is just being a lifelong learner. You never stop learning, and we want our students to graduate and be productive, successful members of our community.
I think a vision of a learner means to me is, where do we want our kids to go and end up when they leave here? What kind of people do we want them to be? And then it's a roadmap of how we get there. So what skills do we need to impart upon them? You know, more than just your basic reading and writing skills, but learning all those other skills, soft skills, communication skills, teamwork skills.
I would say that Monticello is a very inclusive environment. It's a very friendly place, and what I found so far is that staff do whatever it takes in order for students to be their best.
Oh boy, if you're coming to Monticello, you're coming to the right spot. We have that small town feel, but we have big school opportunity, and I know that we have the right people in the place, in this place, and we have every staff is full of passionate people, no matter what employee group, and we're proud to serve kids here. We're also, we're putting together a strategic plan that unites us and gets us all on the same page. And so while the last few years have been challenging, those challenges are only going to define us in this upcoming year.
All right. Anyone have any questions on the video? I think most of you have seen it before, but we just wanted a chance to air it tonight. And
Is that on our website or going to go on the website?
it will go on the website, yes.
Well done, you guys did a nice job. Kevin. Tina again. Enrollment. Just kept you up here.
And normally I'm at the end. Sorry, Dave. Just want to give an enrollment update. Normally in November of the previous years when I do an enrollment projection for the next school year. So this is just kind of taking a look at where we're at as our first couple weeks of school have happened. So our first slide has the elementary enrollment. The first column is the projection, a total of 1,759. So we were kind of close to that, slightly below it a little bit. So it includes all our programs, nature-based, online, Little Mountain and Pinewood, and Eastview, or Eastview Education Center. But we do separate staffing for our online program, but our students in our co-op programs are mingled with our regular classes as well. So pretty close. We do have one partial enrollment that I'm aware of as of last week, where they're sometimes in the building, maybe for gym or music class, some sort of specialist, but then they're homeschooled as well. So we don't quite get a full 1.0 revenue for that student. The next slide is our middle school enrollment comparison. So just under 1,000 was our enrollment projection. And we're kind of close, but still a little below, because we do separate staffing again for our cooperative programs and our online learning. So you can see that there. We did have a dual enrollment for online, so part in school, part out school, and also a partial enrollment for homeschool, but I think there might be two more in that mix. And then the last slide is our high school projection. So that one is a little higher than projected. With our online and our C5, those again have separate staffing for those programs. So I think it was about 25,000, not including those that we were over. But again, a couple dual enrollments with either online or the ALP, and so we can't count them twice. So our revenue estimates, we got to make sure we're taking out those dual enrollments and kind of tightening up those estimates a little bit. So the last slide just has our overall projection with where we're at. And so we're doing pretty well, but you know, with our trends, as you know, we sometimes lose kids throughout the year in our secondary classes and either gain or remain somewhat stable in our elementary programs, but we'll hopefully take a look, and I have a weekly enrollment summary that I do, and hopefully we maintain them throughout the whole year. After seeing that video, why not? I got goosebumps.
There you go.
So,
Good job on your projections.
yeah, it's a dartboard, but I'll try again next November, or this coming November for next year, and see what we get. But no action needed, just a review for you to know what's going on.
Thank you. What'd they say? Say the best for last, right, Mr. Reeves? Yep. Oh, well, you know what? We're going to jump over, go to Mr. Reeves, then Olson last. Sorry, I didn't say the best for last.
So I am going now.
Good.
I'm going to pull you off that podium.
There you go.
Thanks. Well, you might want to in about 12 seconds, but. All right, I made that slide. Now I got to make sense out of it. Because it doesn't look like it makes sense, but to do a course application, so to speak, and get approval from a course that we'd like to implement this fall with our 882 online students. And in order to communicate the intent behind it with sincerity, I just got to kind of show you how my mind operates when approaching these things, and I have to kind of get to a place where I'm thinking objectively. And in my mind, it involves goofy little exercises like what you're seeing up there. So like if I have to think about, what am I going to feed my kids for a healthy dinner for the next month? Am I going to give them Skittles and Mountain Dew, or am I going to give them spinach and salmon? I don't define what's healthy. I just pursue it for my kids. That's a big thing. There's a distinction there. Same thing, we see this in math a lot. When kids try to find right and wrong answers, 1 + 1 = 3 is definitely wrong, 1 + 1 = 2 is definitely right. And again, kids aren't defining what's the right answer, kids are pursuing it. And that objectivity that exists in those stupid little examples is something that, you can hit the next slide, Gavin. That objectivity is something that I think hits us a lot in education as well. So we deal with a lot of operating the gray, and we do deal with subjective things. But as an educator, I've always been very relieved and encouraged, and the objective practices are the benchmark that influences practice. You know, as a global studies teacher the last few years in this building, you know, we have formative assessments in place so that we can see what kids are learning, and it informs kids so that they're better informed for a summative assessment. It informs me on how kids are learning to make sure that they're ready for that summative assessment. We have things like grading rubrics that tell kids this is what you're going to be graded on. This is just objective, good practice, and it's not like my opinion, it's not an educator's opinion, it's just things that we do because they're objectively good for kids. So as I talk through this thing called the Live to Give elective, just please know that that's what we're trying to do here, just trying to pursue something that is objectively good for kids, okay? It's not about what I want, it's not about what you want, it's about what's good for kids. And again, we don't define that, we pursue that. So please see this as a humble pursuit of that. I'm just going to simply talk through this sheet for the next 45 minutes.
You don't have that much time.
42 minutes. Here we go. So what is this? We're looking at providing some opportunities for our online students that get them on site and involved in our buildings. This is a role that's new to me this year, and I think my coworker Rochelle Stein, she said it best. It's that we have families that are choosing online options. How do we meet them where they are at and try to make it the best, most meaningful experience we possibly can? And a portion of that, an idea of that is how can we have our kids, getting them away from their screens, away from their homes, and having valuable contributions and opportunities afforded to them within our buildings. And I just want to talk through what some of these are. The purpose of it, it's articulated there. I'm reading it word for word, but it says to provide our students with a variety of social outlets that are focused on service to others and subsequent personal development. What kids need to hear from that is that this is focused on service to others, that I want them to see that this is about, it's not about you, it's about other people and serving them. As adults, we see that as our students are engaging that they're personally developing it, that's happening, right? They're becoming a person that invests in other people, they're becoming a person that is becoming a difference maker in the lives of others. And there's just some options that are articulated below there. I'm not sure that I necessarily need to read through each one of those, but I'm just really thankful for different staff in different buildings that have been very willing to partner with this to provide opportunities throughout the district. And I just think like middle school unified, for example, generally we hear about the unified experience, that's a high school vernacular, but right through that brick wall, Mrs. Elise Top teaches a DCD class, developmentally cognitively disabled class, and she was very eager to have kids come into her room to help out working with those students in her life skills class. So that's an opportunity that we'd like to provide for our kids to come in and to be part of a middle school unified experience. Lunch with littles, that's just something that Joe Dockendorf had in mind. He said, Dave, I think in our building we just need a lot of help in the lunchroom, and I think I underestimated that. I thought, do you really? And then I was over there one day, and yes, they do. I should know this better because I got 2 kindergartners this year, and as they're holding trays and trying to milk, and they're always 2 seconds away from spilling all of that, and they're having to pump ketchup, and oh my goodness. So it's a platform for students to serve and build relationships in that thing. As a parent, and who dropped off 2 boys today, and one of them that was crying, it's very important to me that there's positive role models in that building. We have students that can be that role model, right? We have staff that do that. We also have students, and what an opportunity. I guess what I'm advocating for is here for our online kids. Recess monitors, again, just a platform to engage students in unstructured play. So if you turn around to the back side, not that you necessarily have to. This is just a proposal for this fall to have our kids engaged in some of these opportunities. Just knowing that, I guess I should read the story here as we're talking about all these things. I came across this several years ago, and generally when I see things like this, I think, holy smokes, that's really cheesy. And maybe it is, but I like the truth of it. It says, one day a man was walking along the beach when he noticed a boy picking up and gently throwing things into the ocean. Approaching the boy, he asked, young man, what are you doing? The boy replied, throwing starfish back into the ocean. The surf is up and the tide is going out. If I don't throw them back, they'll die. The man laughed to himself and said, do you realize there's miles and miles of beach and hundreds of starfish? You can't make any difference. After listening politely, the boy bent down, picked up another starfish and threw it in the surf. Then smiling at the man, he said, I made a difference to that one. So I think that kind of story just kind of exemplifies the mindset that we want students to approach. Should this be an opportunity for them? They're not going to go change the world at the Eastview Lunchroom. They're not going to change the world at the Pinewood Playground, but they do have a platform where they can make a difference to a kid or a group of kids. And that's what they need to know, that it's not about them, but it's about going and it's about serving others and kind of embodying the vibe that's expressed in that story, okay? So there's a contractual agreement that would be up in front of them. A lot of this has state-defined vernacular in terms of how many hours could equal credit for kids earning. The state defines that at 65 hours. And just expectations that we need students representing well. You know, I don't want to place hard expectations on kids, but I do want to place high expectations on kids in terms of who they are as they represent our online program and as they go and serve in other buildings, particularly amongst younger students. So I think that's all I have for now. Please let me know of any comments, questions, or concerns.
Required part of their online program or an option?
It's not. It's an option at this point, you know, and this is something that's new, Jeff, and in all honesty, it's taken kind of that ready, shoot, aim philosophy, just this is something that, as you know, as I think about ways that it can grow in the future, there's a lot of potential for that. And when we talk about what's pursuing objectively right for kids, that's an organic process that demands us to continually pursue that over time. But the goal is to at least put some of this place right now, just to get it started, because I feel like it's important that our kids at least have the opportunity to engage in these things. So, yeah, good question.
I think it's outstanding. I think it's great because I would imagine that some of the struggles for students that are online is just maintaining a connection to other students, people, that sort of thing. I think it just allows students to have an opportunity, maybe a connection with school and something positive. I think it's a great idea.
That's the goal.
I'd like to add too that we talk about, you know, having consistent options across the district. This matches really well with our youth service program for the bricks and mortar kids. This is exactly the same thing that they're doing. They take 2 consecutive periods and they become a teacher's assistant at one of the elementary schools, and I think there's other options for them as well.
Middle school, yep.
So I like that we're marrying that opportunity across our online, and because it's very similar to what we're already doing. So, thank you.
Is there an age limit on the students that can take part in?
So at the secondary level for online schooling, it's grades 6 through 12. Ideally, I guess, as we're looking at this, it's more of an option, I feel, that's more fitted towards the high school student, grades 9 through 12. So that's a fair question.
I think there was some discussion with the youth service program that they didn't want them too close in age. So some of those kids, I think, go from high school to elementary school rather than to the middle school where they might have just been a student.
I do think there are kids at a younger age, so if we can find something that they can partake in that would be safe for their age group and appropriate for the age group, I don't think we can start things too young. It's just making sure it's appropriate. I did have another question, though, is can these credits go with for their honor society if the students are going towards that?
I'm oblivious to that, sorry. So can you just clarify for me?
Yeah, there's a component for those kids that are in honor society in the high school. Do all these, can they accumulate these towards that and use those as credits for that? Or would they be able to?
That's a good question. I guess I'm not particularly tracking. Right now, we have it set up so that a kid can earn a maximum of a half credit per semester. So you're looking at a kid could earn a half credit this semester, a half credit next semester, and that's kind of where we're maxing it right now, just so that transcript doesn't look like it's all live to give, just so that there's opportunity to put more diverse things on the transcript, but.
It's hours for Honor Society.
And I think
So
David
that
answered
would be, that would go with it.
Well, I think David answered it. I think this is for credit. So, you know, I think that's above and beyond credit, that service. You know what I mean? So he's here to present, to make sure that we all know that there's going to be a new class worth credit. Just like we did English last year. This is exactly that presentation, only just a more service model. I think how you answered it is how I believe that we would look at this. Is this is the approval of this class for credit?
Gotcha, yep. That's what I'm looking at, yeah.
And I would just like to say something. I've had the opportunity to watch David, Mr. Reeves, and Ms. Stein and Ms. Mann in 3 parent meetings. You know, 2 in front of communities, you know, groups of community members, and then also an individual family meeting. And what we're trying to do in this online program, and it's being emulated here, just absolutely perfection by Mr. Reeves, is the art of relationships. And so a lot of online programs have been around for a long time. And when I looked at online programs with the high school counselors 5 years ago, we looked at the data, and most students that go to online programs are going for the wrong reasons, and they weren't the success rate wasn't real high. That's not what we want. We want the relationship still to be one of the key ingredients of this, and you guys are absolutely crushing the relationship piece, and this is just another example of you bringing forward a piece to grow further with relationships, not only with you, with the students, but with students and others. And so I just commend all 3 of you for what you're building. I know it's we're building it every year, but we're building it with a relationship as a cornerstone. So keep going.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Appreciate it. I'm sorry. Candace, you're speaking here, and this is about where I operate, so you got to. With Ms. Ziebarth, what I like too is, it is funny, like I was talking to Ms. Hanson. Ms. Hanson, step out, but just today, just about having those opportunities for kids in youth service, and just making it, because it's part of what the video that, you know, Gavin made and Clade showed. It's about a person of integrity being a part of our vision of a learner, and it's just trying to make sure that that ethic, that there are platforms that our kids can be empowered to live that ethic out in all of our programming. And online, I think that's one of the things that, you know, I was talking to Rochelle Stein, you know, the teacher of this, that from the get-go, that's part of the intimidating challenge, but also the exciting challenge is to try to bring that into an online setting, which doesn't, how are we going to get that to jive? And I'm not exactly sure, but this is a step in that direction, and I just appreciate your consideration of it. So I'm sorry, I might have interrupted a question there.
No, I'm very impressed with the program, and I'm very supportive of, the only question I have left is this revenue neutral? I mean, is there any additional costs?
No, not at this time, no.
We could do to build our community and especially build the connections with the kids if they, everybody has the right to choose how they want to be educated, and if we give them options to bridge that, I think that's wonderful for all the students and the parents as well.
I also like that there's an other in case they can't make it in. They can do things around their home or community, easily accessible.
I think it's pretty cool. Just something that maybe down in the future we should have all 3 teachers come and just share. I mean, I think we'd be very intrigued to learn that there are kids from the cities to northern Minnesota in our online program. And not, you know, I think a lot of people think that we're trying to build it for a small percentage of students, you know, in Monticello, you know, because it's got to be the right fit. It's not, you know, online isn't the right fit for everybody. So it is an option for kids who it's the right fit for, you know, our Monticello students. But we're really looking at it to be a revenue generator too, get us out there to a further a larger population, so that it just only grows our marketing as far as what kids come and parents come to Monticello for. This is just one other thing that they're seeing our name out there for, and it's going well, and because of the cornerstone of relationship being the heart of it.
So if a student was not from our local geographic area, they would just use the other category, as Melissa was,
Yeah, yeah.
and arrange something more local geographic to where they live.
We had kids from neighboring communities that when you introduced this to that, at least one family that I watched, at first they were like, oh boy, that's one thing. But the more they learned about it, that one more thing became one of the pieces that they were excited about. So I have no doubt that there could even be some people, 30, 40 miles away that might be coming back for it because they were excitement generated. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you guys.
We need to,
Yep. Action item.
I move that we approve the proposed Live to Give online 882 course.
Seconded.
Motion made by Jennifer to approve the online 8A course recommendation by David Reeves. Seconded by Kathy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. Now, Mr. Olson.
Right.
Calendar adjustment.
Calendar adjustment, so we have one date on the calendar right now that I would like to bring back to a full day of school. When we originally made the calendar, the secondary was looking at January 3rd as a late start. It's the day we come back from winter break, and the rationale was we're just trying to carve out more professional development time. As we move through the summer, the high school for sure was able to find some additional ways through their schedule process where they have found the professional development time that they believe will work for this year. And then I went back and asked Mr. Scherber, just what do you think on that January 3rd day? And it was a consensus of the secondary that at this time, we could just give that back to a general instruction day rather than doing the PD. So it would be a calendar change, which is an action item.
Any questions?
Will there be some type of alert
Yeah.
when we post that to just let families know because it is returning from a break?
Probably at least 10 different times and ways, I promise you.
Okay. Just want to make sure we let people know. Well, I move that we approve Mr. Olson's proposed calendar adjustment to remove the late start on January 3rd and substitute a regular instruction day.
second.
Motion made by Kathy as presented, Mr. Olson, seconded by Melissa. All those in favor of moving the calendar adjustment from a late start to a full day signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes 5-0. And last, safety and healthy culture. We have a elementary handbook that we need to, Barb, were you going to talk about that, or I know we had a lot of discussion about it at our last meeting.
No, we don't need to talk about it anymore. I'm just looking for action to approve that, and we'll move forward. I think we've made all the adjustments board members and administrators asked for, so I think we're good to go.
And administration, thanks for the unification.
Yep.
That's a big deal for us.
Yep.
And thanks for doing it so quickly.
Yeah. Good job.
Put it together very quickly.
So someone makes a motion.
I move that we approve the elementary handbook.
Second.
Motion made by Jennifer to approve the elementary handbook, seconded by Melissa. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes 5. Move on to our policies. Bunch of first reading of policies, and the policy committee has been busy. And second reading of policies.
Yeah, like Jeff said, the list is not very extensive. But tonight, we're bringing forward the following policies to first reading. So it's policy 208, 209, 210, 410, 415, 417, and 418. Each of these policies was recently brought to the committee, and we bring it to the committee after we use the updates from Minnesota School Board Association. The policy committee has an opportunity to work through these policies with all the recommended changes, and all board members have had the opportunity to review the policies in the packet. At this time, are there any questions on policies presented in first reading? Right. We'll be moving those policies to second reading. And thanks to the policy committee for your work on this. If members haven't had a chance to look at the policies in depth, please do so and reach out with any questions prior to the next board to second reading. Speaking of second reading, we do have the policies below with the addition, or we're going to hold the policy 613, like Jeff said at the beginning of the meeting, till next meeting, just to have at least one small piece that we want to update and get that ready for second reading. But the policies that are coming forward to second reading here tonight are 603, 604, 614, 616, 605, 607, 608, 609, 611, 615, 623, 801, 802, 805, and 806. These policies have went through changes from MSBA to the policy committee, been to the whole board, and now we'd like to bring these forward and start implementing them as our updated changes. So if there are any questions regarding these updates, I'd like to discuss those now.
Good motion.
I move that we approve the listed policies.
Well said. Second? Motion made by Jennifer for policies listed by Superintendent Wilson, seconded by Candace. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion passes 5-0. And it's 7:07, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made by Melissa, seconded by Kathy to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passes 5-0. District meeting on December 19, 2020 at 7:07 PM.